Hello and welcome to Stowhill Estates Meets, and this is the second of our festive specials. I'm Tim from Stowhill Estates Berkshire, and today I'm going to be having a chat with Mark from Calibra Tree Surgeons. So let's go and say hello. Mark, thanks very much for joining us today, welcoming us to the yard. What we always like to do somewhere is a nice place to start is just understand a bit about kind of your backstory, how you came to be in the wonderful world that is tree surgery,
okay,
and how the business started. So what's the story?
That's cool. Well, welcome to our yard in Binfield.
Thank you.
We've been going 25 years. We started in 1998. I basically did gardening when I was 18, 19, and everybody wanted me to do tree work and what have you. So when I was 20, 21, I did a tree surgery course at college. I did a year at college and basically became an arborist, fully qualified tree surgeon. I worked for a company for a year or so, and then I thought, well, I'm earning all this money for these other people. I might as well just try it myself. Anyway, it's not as easy as you think, as everybody who runs their own business knows. So of course you think the money's going to roll in. It does and it doesn't. It's up and it's down.
Yeah.
But over the 25 years, we've had some good times. We've had some rough times as well, but we're still here. We've got a great team at the moment. And we've had good guys over the years. People come and go. It's a young man's industry. I started off being a tree surgeon running a business, and I've become morphed into a business owner, runner, rather than a tree surgeon.
Is that because you're not a young man anymore?
Basically,
yeah. I don't...
It's like I say, it's a young man's business. I'm in that position where I loved climbing the trees. It keeps you fit, healthy, wonderful. I'm now a salesman. Really, I advise clients on what they want, what they need, what they don't need. Quite often people say to me, oh, what should I do with this tree? And I'm like, well, do you like it? And they're like, yeah, well, don't spend any money on it, you know. And I like to give people value for money when they do spend money with us, and actually tell them they don't need to spend money if they don't need to, because sometimes trees just don't need any work. So
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely,
as they say.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to avoid doing too many puns about branching out and stuff like that.
No, you crack on.
Okay, well in that case, don't give me free license, because you never know what will happen. So 25 years. I mean, like that's quite a long time to have been in business. So firstly, congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much.
Secondly, you must like what you're doing, I guess.
It's well, as you know, as we're friends and we know each other, I like a chat, I like to talk. I know about trees and plants, and I like to tell people about it. They want the advice. So my favourite thing is meeting people and talking to people. Yeah. I'd never have guessed that. I do between 10 and 15 quotes a day in our busy periods. December is usually quiet for quotes, but we're very busy at the moment. The lads are really busy. We've got 2 teams out there. But I do love talking to clients, and it gets me right in the, I'm in the thick of it, basically just giving good people good advice. Yeah, that's nice. So I love doing that and chatting. And you live locally as well? Yep, live in Warfield. Yeah. I've lived in Bracknell for basically all my life, well, nearly all my life. So yeah, we recently moved over to Warfield, and it's lovely. Fantastic. And you said December is typically a little bit quieter, even with all those Christmas trees about. Well, you don't have to get involved in that side of things. So there's 2 sides of it, actually. In fact, 3 sides if you talk about the Christmas trees. Yeah. The lads are really busy doing the tree work. We're historically busy up to December, up to the end of December, because everybody wants their tree work doing. It's September through to December is really busy. Yeah. Historically it goes quiet January, February, March, but we're currently booking into March right now, so the guys are busy. My quotes have gone busy, so I do 2 to 3 quotes a day at the moment during the week, but that gives me time to catch up on doing maintenance in the yard. Currently we're trying to paint the floor in our unit, because the dust comes up, and in this cold weather it's actually a nightmare. The lads bringing chippers in, running over your paint. Oh God, yeah. But it's a good time to get all the little jobs done. But you talk about Christmas trees. In January we offer a service. We do a tree collection, so you don't have to put your Christmas tree in your car. Good. 10 quid gets your Christmas tree collected anywhere in the local area between January and February. I mean, it's mainly January. I think last year we did something in the region 200-300 trees collection. Wow. But we offer that service. See if anybody wants to get hold of us.
It's a much better idea than getting the tree once it's all dried and horrible and falling apart and chucking it in the back of the car and then spending the rest of the year pulling needles out of the upholstery.
Well, this is what everybody said. They said, this is such a good idea. It means we don't have to get the car, you know, the tree in a BMW or an Audi or whatever it is, or a Skoda, I don't know.
Yeah, one of my favourite things at this time of year is when you see people go to buy their trees, and it's always the way you see people that you think, well, how are they going to fit that in that car? And some of the most ingenious solutions that I've seen are when people have got convertibles and they'll just take the roof off, put the tree out the roof on a passenger seat. I saw a guy earlier on today. It's a terrific plan.
Well, what people don't realise is with a Christmas tree, it's all nice and soft when you buy it, so you can fit it in the car. But when you've had them up in your front room, the live ones, obviously, they get rigor mortis. Yeah. So getting them out the house and in a car, they lose all the needles. So that's where we come in.
And they get spiky.
Yes. And we recycle them. We turn it to the wood chip.
Hence the chip pile here. This isn't Christmas trees at the moment.
No,
I guess it will be some of those in future. Yeah.
But it all goes for recycle. It goes for biomass and it goes for garden mulch. So everything gets recycled in our industry.
Nice. So it's sustainable.
Absolutely.
It's responsible.
Yeah.
All good things coming with that as well.
Yeah.
So you alluded to it earlier on, but let's maybe give people a bit more background, because obviously you might be able to tell Mark and I have met before, and maybe we should fill people in a little bit on how we did meet.
Well, it might be our local pub's fault, actually.
It might be, yeah, to be
fair. We were introduced by the landlord at the time. He introduced us and we just hit it off. Yeah. Very similar people. We like the same thing. We laugh about the same thing.
Both got similar taste in jumpers.
And we like a tipple too.
Yeah. But we were chatting the other day, Mark and I, and we were having this conversation about whether or not you know, the best way to network as a local business. And one of the things that you said to me that I thought was really interesting was how many times you'll go into a restaurant or a pub or somewhere like that, and somebody will say, oh, that's Mark the tree surgeon, and then somebody else will come over and say, well, have you got cards? And I mean, it sounds like that's word of mouth is probably one of the best ways of getting recommendations.
Oh, it really is. And I'm, as my wife tells me, Gemma always says, I've got such a booming, loud voice, and people can tend to hear what I'm rabbiting on about in the first place. Generally, if it's quite clean and tidy, anyway.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's all suitable for, you know, family-friendly pre-watershed conversations. Yeah.
It depends how many drinks I've had.
So. One of the other things that we like to kind of, I suppose, make part of these conversations is understanding a bit more about what potentially the future holds, or things that you've had to, I suppose, overcome in recent years. And there's been lots of things that have been, should we say, economic headwinds for a lot of people. But how has that affected you and your business?
So, of course, when COVID hit, everybody thought, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? But we were one of the lucky ones who could carry on running the business. We did it safely. The lads separating the truck, they wore the mask. We did everything above board and to keep everybody safe. For us, COVID was absolutely, from a business point of view, was marvellous. People wanted us to come round. They were lonely. They wanted to chat. You know, when I was doing the quotes, you kept your distance. People still needed tree work doing. And also people had an awful lot of money that they couldn't spend because they weren't allowed out.
This is true. Well, there was a huge boom in like home renovation, garden renovation, landscaping economy, right?
Absolutely. For us, it really did. It worked well for us. For tree surgeons themselves, for employers, it was a nightmare because we were trying to employ tree surgeons, but everybody started up on their own because they thought it was wonderful. And of course, every business does, and I wish every business good luck. But for us, it was difficult to get staff, good staff. Yeah. But we did in the end, and it worked really well for us. Brexit has been difficult, buying kit, everything has gone up. I mean, from my personal point of view, I'm absolutely devastated that we came out of Europe, but, you know, everybody's different. The cost of everything has gone up. I mean, it's not just Brexit's fault, but the cost of fuel, the cost of our materials, everything has gone through the roof. Yeah. And ultimately, we do have to pass it on to the client, but we've tried to do it slowly but surely. Yeah. And obviously keep, you know, a level price, not trying to be more expensive than everybody else, but also not trying to cheap everybody out the market. If you like.
Well, I think that's the critical thing, because when you've got you know, as a business where you're operating and you've got costs that are essentially costs of operations, you don't want to put your prices up just for the sake of pure lining your own pockets, but equally you can't afford to erode the profit margins that you need to make to survive just because your cost of operations have gone up.
No, absolutely. I mean, everybody says, oh, you must be loaded, you're a tree surgeon because you charge so much.
Yeah.
And I think that's a general thing that people think tree surgeons are expensive. The problem is when these guys have done the training, been to college, I mean, our insurance this year has gone through the roof, absolutely through the roof. We've had a couple of bit of bad luck over the past couple of years. We've had some break-ins. We've had our tools stolen twice. Great story. Second time we got them all back because they had Apple AirTags in.
Oh, fantastic!
So touch wood. Excuse the pun, but I hope they don't come back.
I thought I was going to do the puns.
We can swap about. But you know, it does. The business is still here, but when people think tree surgeons are loaded, it's not like that. We're earning a living, we're ticking along nicely.
Yeah.
For me, running the business over the years has been time spent with my family. I've been able to spend time with my family. It's not been about the money, luckily, because I would have packed it up 23 years ago, not 25 years ago. I love what I do. The guys I've got are absolutely fantastic. The girls in the office are marvellous as well. And do you know what? Our customers, 99% of the time, are absolutely wonderful. And they do come back to us. We have an approximately 60–65% success rate with quotes.
Yeah, that's very high.
There are a few, you know, there are a few good tree surgeons around. So we live in Bracknell Forest. Let's share the work.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a competitive economy.
Yes,
everyone's got to work. Nobody needs to be completely monopolising it.
No.
But it's great if you're getting repeat business. You've got regular customers, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I suppose, testament to having a good business model and being good at what you're doing.
I think the key is certainly reasonably priced. You've got to be reasonably priced because even businesses are looking after their money. You've got a good team behind you. Like I said, all my staff, they're fantastic. They're friendly, ultra friendly. They communicate, and that's one key thing that a lot of businesses don't do, it's communicate. I'd like to say that above and beyond, we make sure we communicate with our customers. Some slip through the net, it does happen. You know, we've been going a while, so you know, we're not perfect, but I love hearing from customers when we're good, but I also like hearing the negative points so we can improve on them. Yeah,
and I guess a lot of people say, and we've had some other conversations with other businesses, and actually for some people, it's how you respond when things haven't gone as well and what you do about it that differentiates you from competition or you from alternatives.
Yeah, I like to think so. I mean, we had a prime example a couple of weeks ago. There was a mistake that happened and around a swimming pool, a tile got damaged. We let the customer know straight away. We get it repaired, or if they want to repair it, we pay for the bill. You know, the key is for the customer to have a smooth experience with us, whether we make a mistake or not. But it does happen. We're normal. We're human.
Exactly. I think that's the thing. But everybody's a human being at the end of the day. You do your best, but life goes on.
Yes.
Right. So there's got to be, you talk about some of the things that you love about this job and meeting people and being able to get out there and talk about the, you know, the flora and fauna that you so enjoy, but there's got to be some bad points, right? But on a, as they say, like on a cold, wet Wednesday night in Sheffield, like...
Well, actually, people say that there's a couple of points. Again, most of the time, the job is fantastic. Being outside, for me, I spend a lot of time in my truck at customers' houses. I'm in and out the truck. It's right. It's the lads that I really feel for. The best times for us are when it's frosty, cold, because you can warm up, because it's hot work being up these trees and on the ground. Some of the worst times are when it's raining, because you just get wet through. And if it's fine rain, you just get wet through all day long. And I'm sure my lads agree. I may be wrong here, but to me, and people, this surprises people, midsummer when it's 30–40 degrees out there and the lads have got their protective chainsaw gear on, their helmets, their jump, you know, their tops and everything. In the winter you can put more clothes on and warm up. You can't take them off. You can't be the naked tree surgeon. No. As much as my lads would like to be.
Very dangerous.
We don't want any appendages chopped off.
Well, and speaking of I suppose danger or safety and protective clothing, I mean, it's quite a dangerous job to do.
Well,
right? You're working at height with chainsaws.
Absolutely, it's classed as one of the most dangerous jobs in the world.
Yeah.
And you know, this is why we have the toolbox talks every Wednesday with my lads. 7 o'clock in the morning, we have a good 45-minute meeting. We bring up, and in our industry, we're notorious for not talking about mistakes and issues that have happened. Now, we've turned that around, and the industry's trying to do it. We do it. If there's a mistake, we try and talk about it, we bring it up, and we try and rectify it and fix figure out why it happened and fix why it happened so it doesn't happen again. You know, the problem with doing the same old job day in, day out is you get complacent. Yeah. And with a chainsaw, you can't be complacent. You've got to be aware all the time. I mean, in our industry, and I say this to everybody, you've got to be clever enough, stupid enough to climb a tree with a chainsaw, but clever enough not to kill yourself. You know, and when a chainsaw doesn't take any prisoners. Yeah,
well, I suppose it's one of those things where you know, typically you only make a mistake once.
Generally,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. So maybe let's have a look around some of the site and have a chat about a few other bits and pieces.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, great. So I've got to ask the question, Mark. We're surrounded by trees in this area. Berkshire's full of some great trees. You must have a favourite.
I do, actually. It's the Dawn Redwood, and the Latin name for it is actually the name I really like. Yeah. It's called Metasequoia glyptostroboides. It sounds
That's
like
a mouthful.
It sounds like it's something out of Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. But I love the name. It just rolls off the tongue. Metasequoia glyptostroboides. Oh look, there's a deer over there.
Oh dear.
And there's the pun. And basically, it's an evergreen. It's a deciduous evergreen, which is daft really, because obviously evergreens keep their leaves. Deciduous tree lose their leaves. I love the way they let dappled light through in the summertime, and they've got like a skeletal frame in the wintertime. I just really like them.
Are they big? Because it's red. You said redwood.
Dawn
right?
redwood. Yeah. They can get big. Yeah. They were introduced into this country, you know, 180, 200 years ago, but initially I like the name of the tree, but actually I like the look of the tree as well. They go a beautiful yellow colour in the autumn time. I just love everything about them. That's nice. My favourite tree. But really, my absolute favourite tree is the oak tree.
Oh, classic.
There's just the climbing the oak tree is just amazing. Yeah. And they're so diverse, the wildlife that they hold. And despite being tree surgeons, we don't just cut trees down, we try and fix poorly trees. Yeah. You know, if we have to take a veteran tree down, it is really sad, but it's also an honour.
Somebody once said to me, oak trees grow for 200 years, live for 200 years and die for 200 years. Any truth in that?
There probably is an element of truth in that. Basically, I mean, we took an oak tree down a little while ago. It was about 600 years old. It was just in a residential area, and it just wasn't safe anymore, you know. And they come to us. I mean, if you look at the trees in Windsor Great Park, which is a fantastic place to look at trees, they've got some beautiful old trees. They're nearly 1,000 years old, you know, so they will carry on living. The 200-year thing, maybe in a safe area. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you know, residential area. Yeah. But no, predominantly, again, you know, 90% of trees, they're better off left alone. It's just the dead wood in the residential areas. Now, I don't like to put my business down, but 9 times out of 10, customers don't need to do things to trees. It's personal preference. But again, it's usually safety.
I've got to do a bit of tree myth busting.
Go for it.
Rings in trees.
Yes.
How accurate is that in terms of finding out how old they are?
Really accurate. Yeah. So the first ring in the middle is generally 4 years, and then thereafter it's year after year after year. Ah. And you know, you could. I do love trees, and when we do take them down, I have had a tree ring before, and I've rubbed it down, and I've varnished it, and counted the rings, and you know, done all of that. You can tell a good year and a bad year, and again, it's a bit of an honour when you do cut these trees, and you can see what's happened over these years. I mean, I've got a bit of oak that's ringed about this thick, and it stands about this high, and it's still seasoning. It's a big split in it. It's like the one at the Natural History Museum, but about 10 times smaller. Right. But you can look at it, and you can just see history through it. You know, we quite often come across trees with bullets in, you know, from the First, Second World War.
Yeah.
Classic one, we were working at Lavender Golf Course in Ascot, and the lads were cutting through it. It's a big conifer, it's about this big, and there were golf balls all in it. They'd been in there for the past 20 years.
Amazing.
And they would cut straight through them. It looked like a Christmas decoration.
Some of them could have been mine, to be fair.
Yeah, probably.
I've definitely lost a few in a tree or two. Mark, you and I today are both bedecked in our Christmas finery, because this is the second of our festive specials of Stowhill Estates Meets. Talk to me a bit about what Christmas is like for you. What's a typical Christmas look like?
Well, family, really.
Yeah.
You know, that's the main thing. I mean, this year we've got Christmas at home. Gemma's mum and dad and granddad are coming round for Christmas Day. We'll have Stanley and Lolly there. They'll bring their partners round, no doubt. It's just spending time together. Christmas Day is going to be a nice sort of quiet affair.
Yeah.
Again, playing cards, board games, watching television, doing whatever, have a couple of drinks. We've got a nice big, we've got a quiet do Boxing Day,
yeah,
which you're invited to.
Oh, thank you.
You know, a few friends round, family round, have a few drinks, and then between the Christmas period, I love the Christmas period because we shut the business down. Everybody has a week off, complete week off, and it's wonderful. We absolutely love it. Everybody needs it. The lads
need to recharge, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But this year we're going, Gemma, Stanley, Lolly and their partners, we're going to France the day after Boxing Day for 3 days. We're going to see a great friend in Paris. The kids are going to go into Disneyland and have a day in there.
Oh, lovely.
And then the next day we're going to go into Paris, go up the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, fantastic.
So, but it's seeing great friends over the Christmas period, and we love Paris as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
That's, to me, that's Christmas.
So even though you've got time off, you still wanted to be working at height?
Absolutely. I don't actually like heights, funnily enough. I know that sounds really daft, but I've lost my bottle now. I couldn't do what my lads do now and what I did. I mean, I gave up climbing 18 years ago.
Yeah.
And I do miss it, but it's hard on your body. But height-wise, there's no way I'm doing heights now. And even up the top of the Eiffel Tower, I'm holding on the side. But
probably for the best. Yeah. There is a phenomenon, isn't there? They call it the fear in some extreme sports, like things like snowboarding, skateboarding, or BMX and stuff, where once you've had a big fall and you get to a certain point in your life and you start to worry about falling, you get the fear. And then you're never the same again as an athlete. Is that similar for professional tree surgeon?
Well,
like once you start thinking about the fact that you're up a tree with a chainsaw.
You just, when you're older, you just think about more things. And I do miss it, and I've got some wonderful memories of being at the top of a tree. I was at the top of a tree near Heathrow Airport once. It was a Wellingtonia, right at the top of this tree. And it was when you had the old cameras, the click cameras with the filming. And I felt like I was at the same height as the aeroplanes coming in. I mean, I wasn't.
Yeah.
But just that memory will always be there. And it's that Mary Poppins thing when they were on the chimneys and they could see all the chimneys across London. When you're at the top of a tree, there's nothing like it. Looking out across the houses, whether you're in a town or a countryside, it's just phenomenal. It's one of the most wonderful experiences, being at the top of a tree on your own, just having that moment.
I would imagine over the years you've probably had one or two, shall we say, escapades. And I know it's your Christmas party tonight, so there's probably a few going to occur later on. However, if you sort of look back at things that have happened, or because you must experience some weird stuff in this world sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple, like the stories, the lads always come back, and like I say, I'm not on site when the lads do the tree work. The lads are doing that. You have regularly throughout the year the lads spotting naked customers when they're not expecting to be there, when they'll be dragging stuff through the garden. They look up at the back door and there's a naked person stood there, and the lads are just as embarrassed as the customers. That happens probably yearly,
right?
That sort of thing.
And I'm sorry about that, by the way.
No, don't worry, it was cold, I think, wasn't it? But no, it was, I must say, the one thing that springs to mind and makes me die, it comes out every year. Quite a few years ago, one of the lads, he'll shoot me for saying this, Jake, he was footing a ladder. So it was one of the guys going up a tree, and this guy's going up a tree, and Jake's holding the bottom of the ladder. And just to recap, every time we go to a customer's house, when I go to a customer's house, if they've got a dog, I always ask them to make sure they clear up any mess
just
that
do
the
a
dog
pickup.
leaves. Yeah. Because the lads love it when they drag their ropes in it and what have you. Or this happens. Anyway, he stood at the thing and he looks up, and as he looks up, something fell out the shoe of the lad, and it landed on Jake's lip.
Oh God.
Anyway, Jake then went and put his tongue on the lip like a reaction, and then realised it was dog poo. I mean, the amount of times I've heard that story and cry laughing, it's the most hideous story. But I'd like to say no tree surgeons were harmed in the making of that story.
I suppose to an extent it's an occupational hazard.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, rather him than me. Jake, if you're watching, sorry about that.
Oh, hilarious. You've caused hours and hours of hilarity with that story.
It's always interesting for us to kind of hear about maybe what's next, or if there's anything that you're doing at the moment in terms of finding new customers, advertising, offers, what next year looks like. So I was driving around the other day and I did see something that I thought might be worth us having a chat about.
I'm assuming you're talking about the signs.
I am, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So in the local area, basically we've got small signs that are up. They've got our logo on, Tree Surgeons, and a little tagline on there as well. So what we do is we offer discount on tree work if a client's willing to have the signs up anywhere on their property, on the outside of their property. Yeah. We understand a lot of people don't want that, which is absolutely fine, but we do offer discount on their tree work if that's going to happen. If you haven't got any trees and you'd like to earn 50 quid, basically, if you don't mind having a sign up on a fence outside, it's got to be outside somewhere that people walk past or drive past. We offer £50 if you'll have our sign up for a year, anywhere there. So if anybody's out there that wants this, and we work in all the local areas, Bracknell, Ascot, Wokingham, basically Berkshire, and the surrounding counties. You know, we'll go anywhere, and at the end of the day, if I can make people happy, they feel like they're getting a discount, they feel like they're doing something, then so be it.
Fantastic. You heard it here first. Well, maybe not, but you definitely heard it here. So if you are interested, then obviously all the details are going to be in the comments and details below these videos. So Mark, finally, kind of following on from the signage and those types of offers, because that's all presumably with a view to generating more business, right?
Absolutely.
And finding new customers and finding new people to work with for a long period of time going forwards.
Yes.
So looking forwards, 2024 is just around the corner.
Yeah.
What's in store for you guys?
Well, I hope we're still here. That's the main thing. There is rumbles of the business going really quiet, but do you know what? We've gone through thick and thin for the past 25 years. We're still here, fingers crossed. We'll narrow things down if we need to, we'll expand if we need to. At the end of the day, as long as my lads are happy, the girls in the office are happy, my customers are happy, and I'm still smiling, we'll carry on, we'll still be here.
What more could you ask for? Mark, been great to meet you. Thanks very much.
No problem, nice to see you.
Likewise.